I missed orientation with them. Appreciate being here. My name is Greg Carr. I am a chemical engineer, got my degree from here. Before this job, I did 4 years in the oil field as a wireline engineer. Before that, I did 6 years in the U.S. Navy running nuclear power plants on submarines. And things are much better now, believe me. A highlight of a few things that DEQ does, some of the core functions, municipal and wastewater, or municipal and industrial wastewater, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. We have delegation from EPA on that. Stormwater, such as the construction activities, general permits. Safe Drinking Water Act, we have primacy from EPA on all things public water supply. We also have the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund that we run with the OWRB. Last couple of years, we've averaged over $100 million a year in low-interest loans for public water supplies. We also do more than a couple of $1 million a year in grants, also for public water supplies. Construction permitting for the same, operator certification for the same, and also water reuse. We've been doing non-potable water reuse for quite a while. We've recently gotten into potable reuse. Back in 2011, the Oklahoma legislators, I believe it was 2011, decided that we needed to have indirect potable reuse regulations by the year 2012. So we actually got those done in September of this year. We got a large group of people together, outside consultants, engineers, scientists, other state agencies, and we do have a Chapter 628 rules that are posted. There are no actual IPR plants operating right now, unless you count the de facto. IPRs, so IPR is the planned discharge of treated wastewater or surface to a treated wastewater to a surface water body for the supplementation of a public water supply. I mean, that's actually been happening for quite a while. That's what we call de facto IPR. The difference here will be it will be planned. One of the big concerns with that would be harmful algal blooms, where there's concern there with nutrients, primarily nitrogen and phosphorus, and also the monitoring of HABs. I know, like in Utah, they use like real-time buoys, like in the Utah Lake. They think they've had pretty good success there, predicting some of the HABs that they've had. Again, we don't have any IPR projects here yet, but we've got some people that are talking about it. I'd love to hear from anybody that has some HAB expertise, and I have already heard from a few. Another form of potable reuse that we don't have rules on, and we're not currently working on rules, but we are working on guidance. When drought comes, we don't know if we'll have DPR projects or not, but when we have seen some drought, and when it happens, people make decisions. We want to be ready to make if somebody does have a DPR project. The only current direct potable reuse project in the United States that's operating is in Big Spring, Texas. I actually made T-shirts that said, "We put the number 2 in H2O." On that note, marketing is a big part of DPR. So the big difference between IPR and DPR, IPR has, you basically discharge your treated effluent to a surface water body that acts as an environmental buffer. With DPR, I mean, it essentially, what I typically see, what I've seen in design is folks will discharge the highly treated effluent to the raw water stream for the water treatment plant. Now, ideally, you would see one designed from the ground up. It's one big plant, but we'll just have to see what fortune gives us. Major concern there, since the source water is wastewater, is pathogen control. I mean, that's fairly straightforward. But constituents of emerging concerns, CECs, that's basically anything that's not covered under the Safe Drinking Water Act or the Clean Water Act. Priority pollutants, non-priority conventional pollutants. For the Safe Drinking Water Act, the primary drinking water standards. There's only 88 of those, and 10 of those are treatment techniques. So there's a lot of CECs out there. I would love seeing the Raman spectrometry talk. I have some questions about that. For us, the big question is, what are they? What are the CECs? Non-target analysis sounds great. I've heard a lot of talk about mass spec scans. I mean, from what I understand, that takes a large library. It depends on the skill of your operator, how large your library is, and even then, you're going to have a lot of questions about what you've got. Bioassays have been discussed a lot, even by EPA. So I understand you can design a bioassay for a certain possibly functional group. I have a lot of questions about CECs. Health-based screening levels, you have to keep in mind that these are CECs by definition are not regulated, and I'm down to 20 seconds. I have so much to say. Health-based screening levels are something looking at. USGS has a great selection of those, but there's not very many considering how many CECs we have, so anybody has any input on that. Testing methods, monitoring, surrogates, indicators, much like we use in the primary drinking water standards. Also, watershed planning is one of our elements, the Environmental Fluid Dynamics Code. Modeling is a big part of that. Hydraulic simulation program Fortran, estuaries, lakes, coastal ocean modeling, soil and water assessment tool, Qual 2K, one-dimensional for streams. Anybody has any expertise on that, we would love to hear from you. Joe Long, can you raise your hand? He is our watershed planning manager. Also, total maximum daily loads, which are basically an impaired water stream, is required to have that. I'm way over time now. If anybody would like to partner with us on any TMDLs, we would love to hear from you. We would appreciate the help on it. Thank you very much.